Hello and welcome to episode 7 of my Facebook live event, Love at First Scent. I'm Persolaise and I suspect most of you watching now, if you've already tuned in, know the drill. Basically, very quickly, what I do here is I try out perfumes which I've received, samples of perfumes which I've received, and I try to give you first impressions as opposed to what I do on my blog, which is to give you slightly more thought out reviews. But I think what we should do today, without further ado and without further explanations from me, we should get going with an initial sniff, and then after that I can maybe exchange a few pleasantries with you and say a few hellos. So thanks very much for tuning in. Here comes perfume number 1. This is one that I posted on Instagram, I think yesterday, to say that I was very excited about trying it. I got the sample a few days ago, and as you may just be able to see from the reflection, I haven't unsealed it yet, and it is the first one. Angeline says, great shirt. Thanks very much. That's the kind of comment I like. Give me a thumbs up for the shirt. I thought it was both autumnal and cheerful at the same time. I don't know if you'd agree. This is the latest from Byredo, and it's called Velvet Haze, and I think we should just unwrap it and get sniffing. I hope it's a good day wherever you are. I'd love to find out where some of you are watching from. I'm obviously based in the UK, in the south of the UK, and it's 3:30 in the afternoon here on Friday. Not the nicest of days today, it has to be said. Pretty grey, pretty cold, although as I look out the window now, I think I can see just a little bit of blue sky peeking out. Where are you, and how are things where you are? What's the weather like, and what's the time? Characteristically slick Byredo packaging, and I think I've just unsealed something without realising it there, but never mind. Oh, we've got the Byredo stickers there, and here comes Velvet Haze. Smaranda says, great to see you doing these more often. That's very kind, thank you very much. I do try to do them whenever I can. I hadn't actually decided that I would do this one until Wednesday night. As you can imagine, what with the fact that these events are live, various elements have to fall into place, and I have to make sure that, you know, X, Y, Z isn't happening, and I'm free to do this, and that it's a time that that suits, as much as it can do, suits all of you out there as well, because there wouldn't be any point doing this, you know, at 10 o'clock at night, I guess. Maybe actually some of you would prefer it at 10 o'clock at night. And I suddenly thought, okay, Friday afternoon might work, and I'm also thinking ahead, thinking that for the next 2 or 3 weeks I probably might not be able to do one, so I just decided to grab the ball and run with it. Smaranda says, I got a sample of this, of Velvet Haze, but haven't got to it yet. Okay, why don't you dig out your sample now and we can smell it at the same time? That would make a novel change to these proceedings. So let me label my blotter before my pen falls down. Velvet Haze. And I am quite excited by this, because even though I'm not the world's biggest Byredo fan, I do like generally what the brand does, and there are some of their perfumes which I really love. For instance, I'm a huge fan of their ink. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, ink. That's an amazing perfume, a real original, that one, an amazing cross between ink and leather. Okay, here we go. Velvet Haze from Byredo. Oh, it's already filling the room quite powerfully, with, weirdly enough, a kind of metallic leathery note that isn't miles away from the inky metallics of ink. Very metallic, almost in a kind of seaweedy way, but not ozonic and not marine, thank goodness. And it's got that Smaranda says, oh, that would be great, but I don't have the sample on me. Now I'm gutted. Never mind. If we'd planned these things, maybe next time, maybe in advance I should sort of try to say, I think I might be smelling this, that, or the other. But anyway, you could leave a comment later on the video to let me know what you think of it. This has got this sort of, so far, that really kind of intimate, slightly unwashed hair smell that you get with some materials, but I mean that in a really positive way. because so far this is quite, when you manage to get up close to somebody, obviously not many people, only a few people in your lives, that you really get to smell what their hair might smell like if it hasn't been washed. And it's that real smell of intimacy, intimate skin contact. By the way, Smaranda says, I'm in Romania, 2 hours ahead of you. Oh wow, amazing. And how are things in Romania? What's the weather like in Romania right now? And are you having a cup of coffee while you're watching this? Is the coconut noticeable, says Smaranda. Oh, is there meant to be coconut in this then? Interesting. Now that you say it, maybe some kind of suggestion of that kind of desiccated, powdery sweetness of coconut, but not massively so. Coconut notes tend to put me off because they tend to be rather sweet. But what I was saying was that this is definitely leading on to a very wet, earthy, garden dug up, getting your fingers in the dirt, patchouli. And I had a feeling it might be, because I guess the name is a reference to the 70s, I suppose, a Velvet Haze. And so far as a deliciously unwashed patchouli, it's very interesting. I had high hopes for this one, and it's certainly something I would want to take on a test drive. I wonder how many of you out there have smelt Tom Ford's Patchouli Absolute. I forget whether it was called Patchouli Absolute or Absolute. I really didn't like that one at all from his private blend. I guess it may have come out maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, because it just pushed the fly spray metallic aspect of patchouli to the fore so much. I guess in an attempt to make the fragrance larger, more diffusive, more radiant, but it pushed those elements so much that I actually personally found them stomach churning. And of course, as these things go, that was the very fragrance that I once spilt on a coat, and I think even to this day I'm convinced I can smell a trace of that perfume on the sleeve of this one coat that I tend to wear in the winter. And this Velvet Haze does have those requisite metallic elements that we would want from a patchouli, but they are very much, they're much better balanced with the earthy, dirty, leafy elements. Smaranda says, Romanian weather is very British at the moment. Oh dear, my commiserations. It's raining, but I don't mind that. Well, it's just as well. Rain is the main thing that bothers me, actually. I don't mind if it's cold, as long as it's not raining. Right, so this is what we're getting out of Velvet Haze so far. As a lot of you will know, what I do at this point is I look at the press information to tell me what we're supposed to make of this perfume. The Velvet Haze is that daze state that carries us to artificial paradises, that ardent moment where eternity seems finally regained. Sounds helpful. The opulence of the scent embarks us in a psychedelic whirlpool. Embarks us in a psychedelic whirlpool. I'm sure that's not right. Reminiscent of the hypnotic beauty of a bonfire. A whirlpool reminiscent of the hypnotic beauty of a bonfire. I must say, whenever I've seen a whirlpool, I have been reminded of bonfires. Who writes these things? Along this exhilarating path, the sweetness of coconut water, oh okay, there you go, Smaranda, coconut, soon gives way to the feverish power of patchouli leaves. The air is dry and the atmosphere lazy. I hope it's not too lazy, because otherwise how are these people going to get out of the hypnotically beautiful bonfire or the psychedelic whirlpool? The air is dry and the atmosphere lazy. Angeline's giving 4 exclamation marks, but why? What have I done? Explain the exclamation marks. Anyway, carrying on. An experience of all senses that the velvety cacao and the wild musk enrich with their earthy envelope. Wow. Talk about not making much sense. An earthy envelope. I guess you know what they mean, just to be fair to the poor souls who have to write these things. I suppose a kind of enveloping earthiness, doesn't exactly work if you say earthy envelope. Maybe this was originally written in another language and so something's lost in translation. But anyway, the list of notes. Apparently it starts off with ambrette seed and then the coconut water. Okay, so... oh, Angeline's writing the press release, just loads of senseless poetry. I'm glad it's not just me that thinks that. I'm still thinking about the psychedelic whirlpool, reminiscent of the beauty of a bonfire. Top notes, ambrette and coconut water, heart, patchouli leaves, definitely. I mean, we'll give them that much. And then a base of cacao absolute and wild musk. We've kind of pretty much accepted white musks, but wild musks I haven't come across yet. The thing is, though, based on the evidence of... oh, Joe says, I agree with Angeline, and you should also do a video on your shirt collection. I don't actually have that many shirts. I struggled to, because I thought, okay, well, I ought to wear a different one each time, at least for the first few videos, and then maybe I can rotate. But this is a fairly recent purchase, so if you approve, I'm very pleased you approve. Smaranda says, probably makes more sense in Sweden, the press release. Maybe, that's a point. I hadn't considered that. Maybe it does, although I think... I may be wrong, so please don't quote me on this, but I think Byredo isn't owned outright by the same person who owned it when it was founded. I don't know. I'd need to look at my notes, but I think there are outside investors in Byredo now. What I was going to say is that they don't, on the evidence of the blotter so far, they don't actually need to oversell this because it's very good as a leafy... rain-soaked. There is a real wetness about this. Maybe a Swedish wetness or a Romanian wetness. There is that sort of humidity here, which is very, very compelling and very well done. So it doesn't need dubious poetry. And then, oh, not much else except we have got an image, which I suppose I can show you. I guess this is meant to go with the idea of the velvet haze, I suppose. Does this lady remind you of a psychedelic whirlpool or indeed a beautiful bonfire? Have a look. What do you think of that? But so far, promising. Right. Having done the first one, I think maybe now I can say hello to you and thank you very much for tuning in. If you are watching live on, Facebook, thank you for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. If you like what you see, please go ahead with the thumbs up and the hearts and all of those signs of endorsement that validate my existence on this planet. The video will be placed on Facebook, on my Facebook page, after the initial broadcast, so if you would like to leave a comment or interact after the broadcast, please feel free to do so. I always try to answer all of the comments, and also the video then goes up on YouTube. Thanks for all the hearts and the thumbs up going past me on the screen. I will put the video on YouTube in an unedited form, and at this point I would like to say that, oh, hang on, Joe's just made a comment. Velvet Haze smells very like Narciso Rodriguez for her. Too safe. Interesting. Let me get the blotter back. I completely know what you mean. The musks absolutely have that same vibe. But don't you think, Joe, that the patchouli is much more prominent here? It is very much a woody, earthy musk perfume. But I don't know. I think the metallic facet is a little bit stronger here. I think it's different enough to not stand as a complete carbon copy. But well done. I hadn't made the connection myself, but now that you say it, definitely. Definitely. The Narciso Rodriguez scents, even though they're very popular, they're not always on my radar. But what I was going to say, the people who watch on YouTube, either because that's how they prefer to watch my videos or they can't tune into Facebook Live, whatever, they don't get to interact live. So just for them, I wanted to say, because there are a few people who've been watching all of these videos on YouTube fairly religiously, I wanted to say a hello to Forever Fragrant Kid, to Tante Lapin, to Anthony Edmonds, and to Michael M. Thank you very much for always watching and liking my videos on YouTube and leaving a comment. And Amir, I think it's Amir Pi, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. After the last video, he says, what happened to your happy shirts? So I hope this is suitably happy, and I hope that you're pleased that I didn't wear this shirt instead. Do Do you know, I bought this T-shirt years ago because I thought it would be funny, but I haven't. There you go. But I haven't worn it a single time because I just thought I didn't want to inflict that on the world. But maybe one day I will have cause to wear my ironic sad face shirt. Smaranda's still asking a question about Velvet Haze. Does it have any resemblance to the wet hair note in Azure Soleil from Tom Ford Estee Lauder? This is why I love you people so much, because this is just such a genuine perfume geek community. I'm going to have to say, hands up, Smaranda, I never smelt Azure Soleil. The latest one that they've done, the Azure version, is Azure d'Or, isn't it? Which I think in the UK was a Harrods exclusive. But I never got a chance to smell Azure Soleil, so sorry. Is there somebody out there who has smelt both Velvet Haze and Azure Soleil? Maybe I can try and get a sample. I mean, it's long discontinued, I do know that much, but maybe there'll be a few drops of it left somewhere. Or maybe when you smell Velvet Haze, Smaranda, oh, it's the precursor to Bronze Goddess. In which case, no. This doesn't make me think of Bronze Goddess at all. It's nowhere near as sweet and suntan lotion, not at all. It's much darker and heavier. It doesn't. You know how Bronze Goddess, it just immediately makes you think of Holidays in the Sun by the Met. This makes me think of the earth after the rain. So I don't know if that answers your question. And just to round off what I was saying in my intro, this is genuinely live and unscripted. Apparently we're expecting a delivery, so the postman may ring the bell, but hopefully there'll be somebody else in the house which will mean that I won't have to go to the door to answer the door. If there are any noises off, I do apologise, and hopefully we won't have any technical issues like we did a few episodes ago. I think that was episode 5 when we had a Wi-Fi outage. But as I say, please keep the comments coming, keep the questions coming, and keep going with the hearts and the thumbs up and all of that kind of thing. So we will return to the Velvet Haze blotter later on, and also usually about 4 or 5 hours after the initial Facebook Live broadcast, I put up a sort of status report in the comments section of how the blotters have done, to give us some sense of how the fragrances have developed, because I can't stress enough, we mustn't just ever judge a perfume on an initial impression, because it is just plain unfair. Smaranda says, yes, Bronze Goddess is more beachy coconutty. Azure Soleil is ever so slightly dirtier with a wet hair note. So maybe this is actually somewhere in between, possibly. Interesting. I would like us to move on to a Penhaligon's perfume. I've got 2 here, but I think maybe we'll do this one. Because I'm not sure I've ever done a Penhaligon's on this. I could be wrong, you probably know better than me. This is one from their Trade Routes collection. And I'm not going to lie, thank you very much for all the going that way. I'm not going to lie, the Trade Routes collection is not one with which I have been especially enamoured. In fact, there have been a few in the Penhaligon's Trade Routes collection that I've positively disliked. They've seemed indicative to me of an identity crisis at the heart of the brand, and Penhaligon's has been going through an identity crisis. Let me just try and open this so that you're not distracted by the rustling of the cellophane. Penhaligon's has been going through an identity crisis. Some of you will know that it's now owned by... My mind's gone blank. It's now owned by Pooch. It's undergone several changes. For instance, it's got the portrait collection with those fake bronze animal heads, which I personally find neither funny nor attractive, although some of the scents in that collection are passable. And then the Trade Routes collection was very overtly aimed at the Middle Eastern market, and the scents were aimed at the Middle Eastern market in a pretty obvious, predictable way. But I did have a very, very quick sniff of this, just long enough for me to think, perhaps I ought to revisit this collection. Of the latest 2, I think these 2 came out at the same time, and I'm sure I'm going to get the name of this one wrong, but I'm going to pronounce it Paithani, Right, you can see that there. And I have no idea what that is a reference to at the moment, but let me get a blotter. Do you have a favourite Penhaligons? It's a funny brand because it still hasn't shaken off its ye olde England heritage image, but some of the perfumes responsible for that image over the years have had to be reformulated and have lost a lot of that naturalistic verve because of issues to do with citrus notes, etc. They're not as sparkling as they used to be. So things like Blend and Bouquet, for instance, Blend and Bouquet has had to be reformulated, not because of the fault of anyone at Penhaligons, but just because of external wider factors. And Blend and Bouquet isn't as effervescent as it used to be. Several years ago, they released a perfume called Amaranthine, composed by Bertrand Duchaufour, one of the most beautiful ylang ylang compositions I had ever had the pleasure to encounter, but it didn't do terribly well, and it's now been discontinued. If you ever find a bottle of it, it is stunning. It's the most gorgeous conceptual perfume evocation of the sort of idea of white on white on white. White ingredients upon a white top ingredients upon a white heart upon a white dry down. Really, really stunning work. And actually it was Duchaufour who did a very good daffodil Narcissus scent for them a few years ago called Ostara, but that, I gather, didn't do very well either. Karina says, hi Persolaise. Hi Karina, and actually thank you very much. I've just remembered as well that I needed to say a hello to somebody. What I'm doing now is looking down at my iPad. Somebody was very, very kind as well on Facebook. Angela Cox, hi Angela, encouraged me to do this Facebook Live event today, and also I don't want to say the wrong person's name. I think it was Holly. Just bear with me while the iPad is scrolling down. I'm not going to find it now. Hang on, just bear with me. Why does it take... Okay, here we go. Hannah, sorry, I knew it wasn't Holly. Hannah Felicity Copley. Thank you very, very much. What she said was, please do a Facebook Live on Friday because it's been such a gloomy week that I need to have something to look forward to, which was just such a nice thing to say. So even if you're not able to watch it live, I hope you get to watch it later on. And I hope it... Ah, there she is. Hello, Hannah. Very nice of you to join us. I hope this was worth it. And also I meant to say, Alison in Texas, are you awake? Are you awake, or are you going to be watching this later? Anyway, I'm rabbiting on far too much today. Let's try Paithani from Penhaligons. I think the upshot of what I was trying to say with all of the other perfume rambling I was doing was that even though they have a few excellent perfumes, they don't seem to be very clear about an overall direction that they want to take. Vara, for instance, another fantastic one from them by Bertrand Duchaufour, beautiful rose scent. This one is called Paithani. Sounds as though it should be the name of like a Bond villain. I don't know. Maybe it is. Ah, see, now I'm remembering what I thought when I first smelled this. See, I'm a sucker for cardamom notes. And there is a cardamom note, but again, on the blotter, it's doing this thing that some of these... trade route scents do. Okay, let me cast aside the negatives for the moment. There is a real spiciness to this. Quite a convincing spiciness, it has to be said. Cardamom, yes. Maybe something like cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves. Those sorts of mostly hot spices, even though cardamom is usually considered to be a cold spice. So you've got a kind of cool-hot dichotomy happening here. Some sort of citrus burst at the top. And cardamom very definitely has citrusy elements to it as well. Cardamom marries quite well with lemon. If you've ever had, for example, lemon and cardamom tea, you know that the two go very well together. Alison in Texas isn't replying, so maybe you're not watching this live. Or maybe you're busy working like all of the rest of us should be. And the cardamom is definitely at the moment reminding me of Jean-Claude Ellen's declaration for Cartier, or I guess we're supposed to call it déclaration. Joe says the milk note in Paithani is very prominent on my skin. Okay. It's funny, isn't it? Because you don't kind of think of the milkiness as being a note. It's almost like a kind of background fuzz, that milkiness. But you say it's very prominent on your skin. Maybe a suggestion of saffron-infused milk or the milkiness of Indian sweets. I love Indian sweets, things like badam barfi, all of those kinds of things, which have a very, very pronounced milkiness to them, a lactonic texture. Yeah, I'm getting that too. But there's also, unfortunately, just I don't want to say fakeness, but there is just this slightly over chemical quality to it. There is obviously nothing wrong with synthetics in perfume. In fact, it would be daft to even suggest that there might be something wrong with synthetics in perfumery, because we wouldn't have modern perfumery if it weren't for synthetics. But I still say that whatever ingredient, whether it's a synthetic or a natural, if it somehow gets in the way and spoils the illusion, so that on the one hand you're thinking you're smelling nutmeg and cinnamon and cloves, but on the other hand you're kind of picturing them as coming out of some lab, and they don't really feel as though they've emerged from the depths of some Indian spice market, then something's not right. Joe, the milky note is very definitely coming out now. Almost like a kind of Indian ice cream note, which is just always making me... doing these episodes always makes me so hungry. Lots of hearts and things going by. Thank you very much appreciated. So, I do like this, but perhaps it isn't as multifaceted as I'd hoped. And you'd want something called trade routes. I mean, it's got to be about exploration on all sorts of different levels. You'd sort of want something more complex, I guess. Let's see what the press notes say. Very attractive cover. Feel free to keep the questions and comments coming, by the way. I really, really love interacting with you all. It makes all of this so much more fun. Penhaligon's extends Trade Routes collection with 2 new fragrances, Paithani and Agarbati, inspired by exotic ports of call. Okay, transported by the breeze of time to this is the same person who wrote the Byredo one, isn't it? To an era of exploration and daring adventure. By the way, time, exploration and adventure each started with a capital letter. Why? Penhaligon's collection Trade Routes is infused by the vast array of exotic ingredients that arrived into the London docks at the end of the 19th century. Fair enough, yes, that idea has been done before in perfumery, which is fine, there is nothing new under the sun, after all. Known as the warehouse of the world, the docks were dense with the opulent and the fantastical, and the air overhead filled with a fragrant potpourri. Dodgy sentence construction, never mind. Kimberly says, to everyone who's wondering what Paithani means, it is a colourful sari worn by Indian women. Fantastic, thank you very much. And am I saying it right? Is it a Paithani? So it's supposed to... Okay, well, if it's supposed to be colourful and bright and vivid, we've all seen how amazing sari fabrics can be. I've just got this image now of when I went to visit Rajasthan many years ago now, about 13 years ago, going on a train, and you see nothing for miles except the desert, and then suddenly a woman, an amazing fuchsia sari. This doesn't have that wow factor, this doesn't have that sense of making you feel as though your whole world has suddenly been filled by the most vivid colours. Kimberly says yes, as in yes, I'm pronouncing it right, thank you very much. Cool. This is fantastic. Isn't the internet just the most amazing thing that's ever been invented? Tea, spice, silk, pearls, rum, all found on the homebound clipper merchant ships. I'm sorry, how is pearl a spice, or are they not? Oh, maybe that's me. Maybe they didn't say it was just spices. On the homebound clipper merchant ships menaced by pirates and serenaded by the trade winds. This rich collection offers a journey to magical distant lands. Yeah, fine. Oh, and I've got lots about a lot of them. I hadn't even realised there were so many. So apparently now this Trade Routes collection numbers 9 scents. Who knew? Anyway, let's just have a quick read of Paithani. Oh, at least we're being told that it's made by Alexander Lee. Oh, now there's a thought. I wonder if that's the Alexander Lee that used to have a blog years ago called J'aime le parfum. I wonder if that was him. There can't be many Alex Lees who are perfumers. Oh, that would be amazing if it was his. When travelling through India, one is confronted with the jewels of nature, capital N, and recurring moments of beauty that touch the divine. Our recent London experiences of smog are long forgotten as we barter for silks. Nice touch. Our mountain train's arrival into Bombay was greeted with an explosion of sound that dazzled our reverie and shook us awake. I think you'll find it's Mumbai now, but never mind. Vivid, colourful saris, Paithani, there you go, swirl all around, and to complete the sensory overload, before long there is the welcoming smell of spicy hot tea. Added to it, as tradition dictates, an agreeable explosion of spice, cardamom, nutmeg and pepper, the fragrant Holy Trinity. The fragrant Holy Trinity, okay. Karina says, the blurb makes me think of Beck's London's SE1. Yeah, totally. That's exactly what I was thinking of as well, because that had that Docklands idea, didn't it? You're absolutely right. You people don't need me. You know everything already anyway. But I'm enjoying being in your company and learning from you. The soothing aspect of a silky, milky rose serves as a rousing caress. Soon there is the famed cedar from Himachal Pradesh that blends with the smell of leather trunks, because travel has always been the greatest feat of independence. Okay. And to best capture the feeling of our faithful companion, the sun, bountiful, low and full, rich amber infuses and illuminates the end of the day. Now, purple prose aside, doesn't that actually sound as though it would be the richest, most beautiful perfume? So what were they saying at the beginning? Colours, sensory overload, spicy hot tea, the fragrant Holy Trinity of cardamom, nutmeg and pepper, a silky milky rose, cedar from Himachal Pradesh, leather, and then amber to evoke the sun, which makes you think that would be amazing. But maybe it's just a couple of notches below that sort of complexity that you would hope for from that description, which is not to say that it isn't good. And in fact, actually, I'm going out tonight, or I might be going out tonight, maybe to the cinema, not decided yet, but I will wear this, I think, rather than the Byredo, because the Byredo might be a little bit too powerful. So I definitely want to put it on skin. Oh, and we also have fragrance notes. So as it says, top notes of cardamom and black pepper, and some initials which I would imagine relate to some kind of extraction technique. So I guess they're high quality extractions of cardamom and black pepper. I'd need to sort of find out a little bit more. Nutmeg, a milk accord, rose, mate absolute, cedar, labdanum, leather and amberwood. It's definitely it definitely owes a lot to Jean-Claude Ellen's declaration, but where it differs from it is in that milkiness, that lactonic creaminess, and I shall definitely return to it. Definitely worth going back to. Incidentally, the other one, Agarbatti, which I won't open now, is also done by Alexander Lee. The only slightly shocking thing about these is that apparently this bottle, 100 mils, retails at £164, which I know perfume prices are just insane now, but it certainly doesn't feel as though they're being reversed. And then when you kind of think that the likes of Estee Lauder can still sell seriously high quality scents for around about the £50-60 mark, you do think why other people have to spend 180. But then there are also economies of scale, and obviously Estee Lauder is a much larger concern than Penhaligon's, but then Penhaligon's is now owned by Pooch. Yada yada yada, discussions that we probably need to leave for another day. I cannot believe that it's already been 35 minutes. I need to stop rabbiting on. But Hannah has left a comment. I bought sartorial for my father, as I thought the description was fascinating. It smells very safe, a little underwhelmed. Suits him though. Interesting. I seem to remember mentioning sartorial not that long ago, which makes me think that maybe we have done a Penhaligon scent already. Never mind. I love the idea behind sartorial very much, and on me it was very safe, but on one of my stepsons, that metallic steamed quality comes out brilliantly, and then you suddenly smell it and you think, wow, I get this, I get why this fragrance is as special as it is. So shame if it doesn't work on your dad, but as far as modern fougères go, it's still pretty good. So I'm sure he appreciated receiving it from you, Hannah. What you are watching, ladies and gents, is episode 7 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise. If you're watching it live on Facebook, thank you very much for taking the time to tune in. If you're watching it after the broadcast on Facebook, thank you very much as well. Please leave a comment, interact in any way you would like to. And if you're watching it on YouTube, after it's been uploaded to YouTube, thanks to you too. Feel free to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment on YouTube as well. Lots and lots of hearts and thumbs up going across the screen, for which many thanks. Now, I can't resist a Guerlain, especially not one that feels as though it's about to burst out of its box. This was one that I wasn't even particularly aware of. As you can see, it's called Un Dimanche A La Campagne, which I guess means a Sunday in the countryside. Now this one I have had an initial sniff of, but again just a very, very quick sniff, nothing on skin. Huge bottle. Can you see that? Interesting, almost jade green juice. It is a 250ml bottle, so more than 200. And I only say more than 200 because you automatically think that that's a 200ml bottle. Slightly unfortunate design though, because I guess they're encouraging you to use it as a splash. So there's no spray in there. It does come with a spray, Serge Lutin style, which I will use now. But sadly, and this is really a little bit of a shame, they missed a trick here. You can't then do that. So why didn't you think of that, Guerlain? Oh, Joe says, just curious, does Persolaise have any special meaning? Should we talk about me for 30 seconds then? It's very simple, Joe. My father's from Iran, my mother's from Poland. If you take the French words for Polish and Iranian and you play around with them, you get Persolaise, because when I made up a perfumey name, I thought I'd want it to sound a little bit French. And I kind of had this idea in my head that I'd like it to start with the letter P, so that it would be alliterative with perfume. So that's all there is to it. I just got lucky and I was playing around with French words, and I thought, oh, if I put those two together, I could kind of make Persolaise. So there you go. So it is meant to describe me. That's the special meaning that it has, because I am half Polish, half Iranian. But we were talking about Guerlain. Yeah, this doesn't work. If Uncle Serge Lutin's came up with a system where you could have an alternative cap for when you use the spray mechanism, then Guerlain, you really should have done it as well. But maybe when they reissue them, they'll think of that. Anyway, let us find out what Thierry Vassar's idea of a Sunday in the countryside is, because I know that this one is made by him. Now, this scent is not going to try to be complex, because I know it's from Guerlain's cologne range. Let's have a spray. What did you think Persolaise might have meant, by the way, Joe? Did you have some idea? Somebody once, years ago, when Persolaise was quite new as a blog, somebody once told me they thought it sounded like a salad dressing, to which I just responded with a guffaw of laughter, because actually it does kind of sound like a salad dressing. So, think of me the next time you have some salad and you put some mayonnaise on it. Anyway, Sunday in the countryside. Do you know, if a Sunday in the countryside smelled like this, I'd like the countryside more than I do. Thierry Vassar is good at colognes. He is good at handling citrus notes. Unless I'm mistaken, he personally just likes wearing colognes himself anyway. A lot of perfumers do, because they don't like wearing things which are too heavy and might interfere with their work. But this just has... You notice what I even did there? I just kind of sat back and I thought, oh, let's just take a deep breath and let's just enjoy this. This is what this perfume makes you do. I suspect it's very simple in its construction. Or maybe not. Maybe that's deceptive. Maybe it's actually really, really complex. But basically all you're getting is bergamot. Not really the yellowy, biting, slightly sharp quality of lemon. Could be wrong, but I'm not getting that. But what I am getting is lime. And to me, lime is a happier, softer, gentler lemon. And that's what's coming across here. The slightly tea-like qualities, smoky qualities of bergamot, the slightly woody qualities of bergamot, maybe a suggestion of lavender there, and I suspect a large base of musks to root it all. And then, of course, the herbs, the sort of Guerlain herbs. I'm guessing there might be something like rosemary here, thyme. This is really pretty though, and probably ideal for splashing on you. You just want to rub this all over your hands. It's a shame summer's over. I don't know how long this has been out. Its official release year is 2016, so I don't know whether that means that it was available in France or maybe selected Guerlain boutiques from last year. But it's just it really does evoke lying on a blanket on a day that isn't too hot. The sun may be high up in the sky, but it's really not too hot. You're not sweating. And, you know, somebody pours a tea from a thermos flask and you have a sandwich, and there's one member of your group is just reading a paperback, and everything is just about very quiet, gentle, unforced relaxation. People who are comfortable enough with each other to allow easy silences to exist between them. I forget what the name is of the first cologne that Thierry Vasser made for Guerlain. I think it may have just been Cologne du Parfumeur. I think that's what it was called. Definitely shades of that. But that one was a lot muskier. That one was much closer in temperament and style to Mugler's cologne, whereas this one feels a lot more naturalistic, a lot more herbal. So I guess it's next Sunday, all of us round at Thierry Vasser's countryside manor, because if this is what it's like, then I think we'd all enjoy ourselves. I think we'd all have a good time. Cucumber sandwiches for me, please, and I take my tea black. Thank you very much. Very pleasant. Shall we go back to some of the earlier blotters? Velvet Haze. What's Velvet Haze doing now? See, now I can't get Narciso Rodriguez out of my head. It's muskier, but still has that leafy patchouli quality. I'm liking it. I am liking it so far. And let's try the Penhaligons. Ooh, actually more interesting, has to be said. To give it its due, much more heated and spicier now. Oh, I'm going to look forward to wearing this one later on, actually. Okay. It's already 4:15. 45 minutes of your time, ladies and gents. Sorry about that. I have got Twilly and Aura here. Don't worry, I'm not going to spray these. Now, which way do I need to show them? I got them here partly because when I arranged this display here, Hannah says, I think it would suit your shirt. What? Oh, the Guerlain. Okay, yes, I suppose it would actually. You're right, well spotted, yeah. I like that idea. I put the Twilly from Hermès and Mugler's Aura here, partly because when I made this arrangement, I thought it looked a little bit drab and that it needed a little bit of colour, so I popped those on there, but also I decided that I would put them on there just to let you know that I have reviewed Twilly and Aura, and Gucci's Bloom, and, wait for it, Chanel's Gabrielle on my blog in an extended post. So if you just go to Persolaise.com, I think you probably only need to scroll down a couple of posts down and you will see quite a long review of those 4 scents under the banner of the idea that they're all aimed at young women. But I would like to finish today with one that I have actually not just smelt before, but worn before, and I just want to bring it to your attention because I'm becoming increasingly impressed with it. A few weeks ago, you may remember that I had a range of new scents for men from Zegna. They're called the Elements of Man, and each one is named after a different attribute. So there's a strength, there's a talent, there's a wisdom. I haven't smelt all of them yet. I haven't worn all of them yet. Because each time I open the box to go to them, I keep wanting to wear this one again, and this is called Strength. Make what you will of the names, but this is a really, it's already filled through the space around me. It's a really, really beautiful tobacco scent. It immediately makes me think of one of my closest friends. He likes smoking shisha, the sort of Middle Eastern hubbly bubbly, and it's got that quality to it, maybe slightly apple flavoured, maybe slightly peach or apricot flavoured, that sort of thing. So a gently fruity note with this suffusion of smoke and tobacco and honey. The official list of notes names, Karina says, hang on, I need to get closer because I'm going blind. Is there one called Neat? No, there isn't, but maybe there should be. Maybe you should write to Zegna and tell them that. Maybe there should be one called, mansplainer and rude and arrogant. No, never mind. In the official list of notes for Strength, they've specified oud, but don't let that freak you out because this is not an oud scent at all. Maybe there is a kind of sun-baked quality to it, but you don't smell this and think oud. You smell this and you think beautiful, gorgeous, quite virile, but never aggressive. I think that's what's wonderful about this. Strength and tobacco. Interesting name for it. The name did make me chuckle because I thought, why would you call a tobacco perfume Strength? Because surely the strength with tobacco would come in quitting tobacco, not actually smoking the tobacco. But whatever. That's me just being an idiot. Or maybe it sort of ties in with associations that we can't shake off of things like pipe tobacco being associated with male authority figures. But either way, I've really enjoyed wearing this one several times now, and it's always got compliments. Not that I wear perfume for compliments. These aren't the sorts of reviews where we sort of say, wear this and it'll get you a lot of attention and a lot of compliments. But this one did. I just printed off a few notes. It says the top notes are tobacco, leaf and sweet notes. Middle notes are honey, oud and apricot. Base notes are smoke and pine, which kind of pretty much ties in with what I'd said. It's on the pricey side, but these Zegna exclusives are. But if you wanted to save up for a present for somebody, or maybe just for a scent for yourself, it would be worth it. And I would reckon that this would work amazingly on a woman as well, because I think woody tobacco notes tend to. So, ladies and gents, I think I'd better leave you in peace because we are just about at the 50-minute mark. I always tell myself these won't take longer than 45 minutes, but they always do. Let's just have a quick sniff of the Guerlain cologne. It's just delightful. It's just really, really pretty. And you know what happens with these large bottles? You actually end up spraying them around your house as well, like bed linen and things like that. That's probably not the recommended usage of them, but who cares? Joe says, I wasn't aware of this line by Zegna, have to check it out for sure. Yes, you do. And I will try to maybe write about them. Thank you very much indeed for watching. So one final time, thumbs up and hearts and likes and things and things of that nature are very much appreciated. They're very, very helpful. Comments, questions, if you'd like to leave them after this broadcast is over, I will always do my very best to respond to them all. Hannah says thank you. No, thank you very much for watching, Hannah, and thank you for that vote of encouragement. It was actually your message that was the thing that made me think, okay, I am going to do it this Friday, partly because I don't know when my next opportunity might be. Oh, somebody called Barbara Alavi, I wonder who that could be, says thanks Perso, till next time. If you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to give me thumbs up and leave a comment. And I'll leave you with a question. Last time when I did this, I asked if people would like single house videos, so a video which focuses on just one brand, and the response seemed to be that yes, that would be a good idea. So I'll ask the question again. Do you think it might be an idea, for example, with these Zegnas, a video where I just go through the Zegna scents, or a video where I just go through, for instance, these ones which we haven't had a chance to talk about yet, the perfumes by Eris, because they've got a new one out. Thank you very much for all the thank yous, and have a great weekend.